The Red Cross is there in times of need. They respond after disasters like house fires. They set up emergency shelters. They give groups of people a safe place to stay. But they also run blood drives, working to collect life-saving blood donations day in and day out. You can join us as we work with the Red Cross. The WFMY News 2 Summer Blood Drive is almost here. It is Thursday, July 28th at Piedmont Hall at the Greensboro Coliseum, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can make an appointment ahead of time, or you can simply walk in. So leading up to the drive, Maya Franklin from the Red Cross is here to answer all kinds of questions for the next 30 minutes about blood donations, and any questions about the donation process, blood supply level, your donation impact. Ask it all. It's anonymous. This is how you get the question to us. You text us that question, and that number is 336-379-5775. Again, your question is anonymous, but you get the answer in real time. All right, so first and foremost, hey, Maya, let's first talk about blood supply. The Red Cross really has been saying for a while now that they've been in need of blood supply and donations.
Yeah, there is a constant need for blood. It can't be manufactured. So people who need blood transfusions rely on the generosity of donors taking the time to make an appointment, show up for that appointment, and give blood. Recently, we've been challenged since the Memorial Day holiday. We've seen a drop in people coming out to donate. That donor turnout has resulted in about 12% fewer collections than we expected back in the month of June. That's a huge drop for us. And here in the Greater Carolinas, that drop was even more significant, almost double the national average. There was a 22% shortfall across the Carolinas in donations collected.
Okay, so even more here in our area than across the nation. Why do we think that is? I mean, I'm sure it goes down during the summer anyway, but.
Yeah, there are several factors. One significant factor is probably that we collect about 20% of our donations from high schools and colleges. So with high schools being out of session during the summer, we're unable to collect at some high schools where we would regularly host blood drives. Colleges may be in session, but not as many people are on campus, and not as many people there might be willing to give. And in addition to that, people are just busy with summer activities. Everyone is taking vacations again, heading down to the beach, or maybe spending some time at the pool, spending time with loved ones, just doing things out in the community, and many of them not really thinking about that time that's needed to make a blood donation.
All right, so we need them to do some things in the community when it comes to blood donation. All right, so let's talk about what the levels should be, and when do you start to see like problems with those decreased levels?
Yeah, so ideally we would want a 5-day supply on hand. And right now, a challenge that we typically see in the summer months, as well as the winter months, we've seen a shortfall. So we're not at that ideal 5-day supply. We do know that the blood supply fluctuates daily based on the emergencies that require hospitals to give patients those life-saving transfusions.
Okay, already we're getting a question, and this question is, can donors transmit any kind of disease through donation?
After a donation is collected, it is then processed and tested for infectious diseases that might be transmissible through a blood donation. If we find during that process that the blood is test positive for any infectious diseases, we are unable to use that unit. We unfortunately have to discard that unit, and it is not distributed to any hospitals where it would be or clinics where it would be transfused to patients.
Okay, so now you know that is safe for you to be able to do that, get the blood donation. So the next question is, because a lot of times we think of people who needing blood, we just think of maybe car accidents or things like that, but there are other things where people benefit from blood transfusions and need them on a constant basis.
Yeah, one of those recipients might be a sickle cell patient. And those individuals may require regular blood transfusion as often as once a month, and may require up to 100 units per year. So that's just one way that we see one donation can have a huge impact, or over time, several donations are needed to impact that one individual's life. Other people who might need blood transfusions are mothers who experience complications during childbirth. They may have some complications that cause hemorrhaging, and those individuals would then need blood. Another reason people need blood, like you said, car accidents, several units might be needed for that type of emergency. And also, blood needs to be on hand during surgeries, especially for individuals who might be having a heart transplant surgery or liver transplant surgery, making sure that if there are any complications during that surgery, the blood is available to ensure recovery of that patient.
Okay, so we've got this blood drive coming up on July the 28th. And so let's kind of like walk people through the process of what happens when you check in for your appointment, which of course, by the way, you can make your appointment online so that you can like leave the lines behind, friends.
Yeah, so we do encourage appointments. You can make an appointment by visiting redcrossblood.org, or you can also download our blood donor app. I believe there's also a link to donate to this specific drive on the WFMY website. And so once you make that appointment, 24 hours leading up to your appointment, you'll receive what's called a rapid pass, which allows you to answer some questions about your health history, medications that you might be taking, any vacations that you may have taken recently to any malaria risk countries. Those individuals would be deferred for a short period from giving blood. So we'll ask you some of those questions before you get to the blood drive so that you don't waste any of your time coming out and preparing to donate. Mm-hmm. Once you get to the blood drive, you're actually going to register with our team. After that, they will take you back to that health history area. They're not only going to ask you some questions if you haven't completed your rapid pass, but also going to be doing just what we kind of consider a mini physical. You'll get a blood pressure check, temperature check, we'll check your hemoglobin. If all of those things check out well and you are healthy and ready to donate, then we send you over to one of the beds where the process of actually donating begins. And once you're stuck with that needle, it only takes about 5 to 10 minutes to donate. So that's the easiest part of the process, really, as long as you've done it before, maybe, right, and aren't really afraid of needles.
And you don't have to look at the needle, friends. You don't have to look at it. Look the other way.
I take a deep breath and I look the other way. I find something interesting, maybe find something on my phone, some relaxing music. You do not have to look at the needle. Also, tell our staff if you're afraid, if this is something that kind of gives you the heebie-jeebies a little bit, let us know. And we're going to take even greater care of you to make sure that you're comfortable and relaxed at the time of your donation.
Okay.
So after donating.
We're going to talk about that after we come back. After you donate, like what happens? We've got a couple of extra questions as well. One that deals with tattoos, one that deals with dialysis, one that deals with anemia. We're going to answer all those questions when we come back.